or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folk try to ignore us. So we at the ballot box, it's a vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia, who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in afternoon drive time right here in sunny LA. Isn't it a beautiful day here in LA? I think so. Blue skies, light winds. It's feeling like springtime today. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nicordelai. Just type in Dr. Niq, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or if you are feeling fancy, you just go right ahead and to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to the KBLA YouTube channel, because that way you'll never miss what we look like and sound like. That's right. You get to not just hear us in action, but see us in action, and even hop into a more perfect group chat if you're feeling like it. All right. So now, let me just say happy tax day to everybody. For some people out there, that may seem like an oxymoron because maybe this tax season has not been all that kind to you or your pocketbook. But now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, NPR reporting that tax season, well, it was supposed to bring big refunds, but so far they're less than expected. That's right. Early spring for a lot of people means the return of warm weather and taxes. And there's a lot of lack of enthusiasm out there, to say the least. The lack of enthusiasm was surprising, considering that everyone, thought that related to the big, beautiful bill. Remember, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, that this might look like a windfall for everyday Americans on Main Street. But that's not the vibe. NPR is reporting that the Republican lawmakers we're planning for that kind of vibe this tax season, but so far it doesn't seem like there are any signs of it. The White House had already declared this the largest tax refund season in U.S. history, and so far it's on track to be, due to the Republican signature tax and spending law, the one big beautiful bill, so-called one big beautiful bill. The White House projected the average refund to rise by $1,000 or more, but the extra refund bump has fallen short of that projection. So far, the average refund has totaled, that's right, come close, lean in, about $350 more than last year. By early April, the average tax refund sat at $3,462, which is 11% higher than the same point last year, according to the IRS. And Americans appear to be shrugging their shoulders at the tax changes. A recent survey by the Bipartisan Policy Center found that 62% of respondents either thought tax changes harmed them or made no difference. Even among Republicans, only 35% said the changes favored them. Americans who owe taxes could be seeing a bigger slice of savings. Higher income procrastinators still have time to file. And it's worth noting that refunds are also getting eaten up by higher gas prices. And so that's also part of the reason why people are shrugging their shoulders. Yes, it's one thing if you cut folks' taxes. Another thing if now they're having to dig in their pockets even further, whether it comes to addressing the rising cost of healthcare. Remember those Affordable Care Act premiums? Yeah, Congress let those subsidies expire. So that means people are paying more for their Obamacare. People are paying more, not just in gas prices, but inflation is still high, which means the cost of lots of products is high. And so whatever well-intentioned tax cut that folks had in mind, it doesn't seem that people are going to get the full bounce from that. But we'll continue to keep you posted. But it's tax day, so get it done. Moving along, NPR also reporting that a jury has found that Live Nation acted as a monopoly and overcharged ticket buyers. A federal jury in Manhattan today found that Live Nation and its subsidiary, Ticketmaster, they operated as a monopoly that harmed consumers and overcharged ticket buyers. The decision came after just 4 days of deliberation. The decision is a victory. That's right, a victory for 33 states and the District of Columbia, which accused Live Nation of unfairly controlling too many aspects of the live entertainment industry at the expense of venues, artists, and fans after the company settled an earlier antitrust suit with the Department of Justice. The verdict has the potential to reshape the live music industry in the United States and hopefully put a little bit more money back in our pocket. Yeah, some of those Ticketmaster fees for some good live music. It's like, what is this about? And so apparently the jury figured it out and they said, this is about a monopoly. That's what they said. Moving along, the House of Representatives has advanced a measure to protect Haitian immigrants. I saw this headline and I thought, wow, I guess there is reason for hope. Sometimes we think that actions like this are impossible in the current Congress. And that may not be the case. Politico is reporting that the House advanced legislation today that would restore legal status to thousands of Haitian immigrants in the United States after a few Republicans, they crossed the aisle to sign on to a discharge petition that forced a floor vote on the bill. A handful of Republicans joined all Democrats in voting for the bill, from Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, who used the discharge petition maneuver to compel a vote on the legislation. The latest instance where Republicans have broken rank support a procedural gambit typically deployed exclusively by members of the minority party. And so look at this. Look at Democrats getting real savvy with the rules that govern how to move legislation on the House floor. Look, there were a few Republicans that signed on to this. It's worth noting that there are a lot of Haitian immigrants that would be impacted by this. Presley's measure would reinstate temporary protective status for Haitian migrants who came to the United States amid decades of upheaval and natural disasters in Haiti. And while this designation, it doesn't afford a path to citizenship for Haitian migrants, it does allow migrants to live and work in the United States. So that's an important thing. Last but certainly not least, after unprecedented results, our friends over at sfgate.com are reporting that San Francisco researchers are getting closer to an HIV cure. That's right. Tom Perrault distinctly remembers a time when he received an electric shock in the name of science. The treatment was one of the first interventions in a recent medical trial based out of UC San Francisco. Researchers were trying to retrain Perrault's immune system to track down and hunt a hidden viral invader. That would be HIV. The disease may no longer be a death sentence, but it isn't yet a medical relic. There were nearly 39,000 HIV infections in the U.S. in 2023, and globally, 3 million contracted HIV in 2024, according to the World Health Organization, and 630,000 people died due to HIV-related diseases. And so the fact that in our lifetime we may very well see a cure for HIV is a big, big deal. I was born in 1984. And, we turn the pages back in history to what was happening in this country. In 1984, what was happening in the Bay Area, where I'm from, in 1984. We've come a mighty long way. And to be this close, thanks to science, thanks to activists and advocates, is a big dang deal. When we come forward, we're going to be joined with another big deal, Vincent Jones. He is the CEO of a nonprofit that is on the front lines supporting nonprofits that are the guardians of our democracy. When we come forward, I want to talk to Vincent about some of the attacks that we're seeing on progressive nonprofits, on the progressive nonprofit infrastructure. And a little bit later, we'll talk about how the administration is threatening RICO statutes to chill campus and community protests. You don't want to miss this. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Vincent Jones when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats. Looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the time for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Yeah, sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for. Open 7 days a week at most locations.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees or minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One, NA, member FDIC.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relationship wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really delighted to welcome my friend, my brother from the front lines. We have done a lot to guard our democracy over the years, and our present work is no different. Vincent serves as the CEO of Beyond Impact. You might be familiar with Tides Advocacy. That's what they have been known as for so many years, but they have since sort of rebranded as Beyond Impact. And I know, Vincent, you care very deeply about a number of the challenges that our democracy is facing. And you spent a long time working in the social sector and philanthropy, working for a number of nonprofits. This is a former staff person to U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer. And so you bring a cross-sector perspective to this conversation that I think is deeply needed. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here on the show hosted by the Dr. Nicordelai Corte.
Well, thank you, Vincent. Well, first things first, catch us up, get us up to speed in terms of Beyond Impact. In what ways is it just continuing the work of Tides Advocacy? In what ways is its focus a little sharper, a little different?
Yeah, so I like to say it's a brand evolution. Beyond Impact was founded in 1992 and went through a few different names over that time period. But last year, we went through a strategic planning process to think about what does the movement need most from us now. And when we found it needs us to lean in more to our fiscal sponsorship to help our partners to be able to organize fearlessly and in a very compliant way. They need us to do more grant making to provide more resources to the ground to support their work. And they need us to do more connecting them to donors to support their work and to other leaders to support their work, because the attack on civil society is coming from all sides, and we have to look at it holistically and look at it together. So that's what we're trying to do now as we have evolved into Beyond Impact.
And so these attacks on civil society, are there any glaring examples that come to mind for our leaders, learners, and listeners that may not be tracking this as closely as we are? But, when you say, attacks on civil society, can you give us an example that might track with what people have been seeing in the headlines?
Yeah, just the simple idea of a college student organizer walking on the street and being arrested, that chills activism. Just the idea of 100 nonprofit organizations getting a letter from Congress telling them to give them all these documents because they're going to be, otherwise they're being threatened with being a terrorist, that chills action. Just the idea of Congress thinking about legislation to revoke the nonprofit status of another organization, that chills people's organizing work. And people might have thought those things have happening in the news and those issues are no longer front and center, but they're still happening and they're still having an impact on nonprofit organizations today.
Yeah, I mean, and an incredible impact on nonprofit organizations today. Talk to us about what you're hearing from some of the nonprofits that have turned to Beyond Impact for that fiscal sponsorship support. For folks who may be just a little less well versed in this, there are a lot of standalone nonprofits out there, but then there are a lot of organizations that are sort of incubated and supported with having these larger, more established nonprofits as their fiscal sponsors. In this case, there are a lot of folks that turn to Beyond Impact to provide that sort of support.
Exactly. Let's say you're a leader on the ground. You're in your community and you see a problem. You see it every day. You and your family and friends talk about it, and you have a solution to solve it. You know what the problem is when you have a solution, but you may have never run an organization before. You don't know about the tax compliance. You don't know about the legal compliance. You don't know about HR stuff. Beyond Impact does. So what we do is we help our leaders on the front lines of change to be able to focus on what they know best, and that's organizing people impacted by injustice to change systems. And we do what we do best, make sure that they have the compliance infrastructure, they have the financial support, that they have all they need to be able to do it legally and fearlessly.
And this is important stuff because, I'm not picking on anybody, but I'm thinking about organizations like Black Lives Matter, right? There were a lot of headlines that were swirling around Black Lives Matter, in part because of compliance issues, and issues related to governance, best practices in governance, for example. There are a lot of activists out there, organizers out there that create organizations every single day. And while they may be really great on the issues, they may be really great on organizing, they may not be, a whiz when it comes to the back office stuff, when it comes to best and next practices in the social sector, in the nonprofit world. And so that's where Beyond Impact comes in, no?
Exactly. I fly on an airplane very often. I can't fly it. I can't do what the flight attendants do, and so in this situation it's like we have to know our lane and stay in it. And Beyond Impact, our lane is 501c4 fiscal sponsorship, grant making, and convening.
And so speaking of grant making, I'm sure you saw this New York Times article that folks are buzzing about. The headline reads, "Wealthy donors are hiding political money in secretive nonprofits." In this article, they talk about how across America, there's been just this remarkable shift in the type of people who fund politics. The 10 largest individual donations so far in the midterm elections, they total almost $300 million, and none of them came from a human being. Some of the origins can be deduced, but other checks came from a series of little-known nonprofits whose original donors will most likely never be known. Shed some light on this. What is this phenomenon about? And, while it may be new to us who read this article in the New York Times, is it new to you?
Well, I think in that situation, it's important to really separate two things that are often get conflated. There's a real conversation needs to be happen. I'm sorry, there's a real combo needs to happen about concentrated wealth amongst billionaires and how they're using their wealth to be able to shape the political system through existing structures, C3, C4s, PACs, and otherwise. But that's not what's happening at Beyond Impact. That's not what's happening many places across the country. It's about the vehicle of a C4. It allows people to change the system, to influence the system. Whereas for a C3, it's allowing you to treat symptoms of the broken system, but you need C4s to be able to change the systems. Now, if we are getting angry now about billionaires using them, that's a legitimate issue because they already have influence everywhere else. But we have to democratize who has access to be able to influence the system. And at Beyond Impact, we are democratizing that so that the average person on the street who sees a problem, wants to be able to address it, has the ability to use the same structure as a billionaire to be able to influence the system.
And part of what we're seeing is, just sort of this uptick in what's called dark money for our audience that may be unfamiliar with what that means and what set of challenges dark money in politics presents. Break it down for us, Vincent.
I mean, so dark money is a term that's often used when the money does not have to be disclosed. The donor is not being disclosed. And so people often say 501c4s are dark money. And that is a term that is definitely popular and used, but it gives a connotation. But again, I think the real issue is who is getting access to the ability to shape the process? Are billionaires being able to do it, or are we democratizing for everyone to be able to do it? And we need to be trying to make sure we're expanding who has the ability to use these existing structures to influence the systems that we live under. And if it's dark money or not, it should be democratized.
And this is part of the reason why I'm so glad that you've made the time to join us here on A More Perfect Union to help us separate the fact from the fiction, because you're right. I think we hear these buzz terms, we hear these bumper sticker slogans about, get dark money out of politics. And there's a conversation to be had there. But what I'm hearing you share with us is that, we need to make sure that the mechanism, the ability to be able to deploy resources in a range of different ways, that's available to anyone and everyone, not just, billionaires that have, top dollar political consultants and accountants that are finding all sorts of creative ways for them to deploy dollars and advance their agenda. You're saying we've got to make this available to everybody. And part of it means public education. We got to make sure that we're educating folks, on all the different ways in which we can shape the future, shape our politics, shape the systems that touch our everyday lives. When we come forward, Vincent, I want to zero in on how Democrats are embracing dark money. The New York Times has certainly written about this. And then we want your message to leaders of all organizations out there, liberal, conservative, and everything in between. We want to hear your sort of message from the field as folks gear up for what will be a topsy-turvy midterm election season. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Beyond Impact CEO Vincent Jones when we come forward.
The audience is thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Corte on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The White House says there has been no formal extension of the Iran ceasefire. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt pushed back on those reports Wednesday while saying negotiations with Iran are still ongoing.
We remain very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks.
She also said there is no official announcement yet on any new face-to-face talks. A Northwest Georgia lawmaker is apologizing for a blackface costume he wore before taking office. State Representative Casey Carpenter posted the photo himself this week, showing him dressed as rapper Kanye West. The Republican called it a poor decision, but said he hopes people can get to a place where things are not taken so seriously. And Maryland's Black Governor Wes Moore marked World Quantum Day with a groundbreaking for the new Applied Research Laboratory for Intelligence and Security Headquarters. The $65 million project will be built in the University of Maryland Discovery District. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's start in Woodland Hills with a wreck on the 101 northbound. This is coming up at Winnetka. It's a crash involving a pickup truck and a car, and lanes are blocked. That's the most information that I have from the Highway Patrol at this time. As soon as they arrive on the scene, they'll give us a little more. But lanes are blocked here on that 101 northbound at Winnetka due to a crash, and overall delays are backing up out of Hollywood, leaving Santa Monica Boulevard. Southbound slowing, loading up out of Calabasas from Lost Hills all the way to the scene of this crash. More slowing ahead in Sherman Oaks from the 405 to the 170, 134 split, and in Hollywood from Sunset into downtown Los Angeles.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CumminsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA is feeling good about the TV ratings from the regular season. A combined 170 million people tuned in for regular season games on the NBA's 4 major broadcast outlets: ESPN ABC, NBC Peacock, Amazon Prime, and NBA TV. The 170 million viewers is an 86% increase from last season. The increase gives the NBA its best ratings in 24 years. Something special is developing this year with the Bethune-Cookman baseball team. The HBCU program in Daytona Beach, Florida, defeated a Southeastern Conference power for the second time in a week. Bethune-Cookman beat the University of Florida in Gainesville 13-7. Florida is ranked number 20 in the NCAA Top 25 poll. Last week, Bethune-Cookman beat LSU, the defending national champions, 10-7. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Prince and the Revolution.
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you got to make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi there. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really delighted to be in conversation with an incredible leader on the front lines. I've known him for many, many, many years. He is not new to this. He is true to this. His name is Vincent Jones. He serves as the CEO of Beyond Impact. It's an organization that is supporting a number of other leaders on the front lines, organizations on the front lines, to make sure that they're compliant, because we don't want nobody catching a case. The block is hot, and we want to make sure that the folks that are doing everything they can to advance their missions are able to do that unencumbered by any legal challenges, any challenges from the IRS in terms of compliance. And that's what their organization is set up to do. Vincent, thanks again for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And so before the break, I was sharing that the New York Times reported on how Democrats are actually embracing dark money. I appreciated that before the break, you really sort of attempted to put this in context. We hear the term dark money and we think something untoward is happening. We're thinking that, there is something nefarious that may be afoot. And I appreciate that you're saying, hey, let's make the different ways in which we can deploy resources more widely known and more widely available to more leaders on the front lines, not just the rich ones.
Exactly. Because if you think about it, most people think about charitable organizations, a 501c3. When I think about a 501c4 versus a 501c3, I think about a hospital, an emergency room that is seeing patients coming from an intersection where they're getting in car accidents. Now, the C3 is a hospital treating them. That's very important. It's critical. The C4 is going to the intersection, finding out why are they getting in accidents and trying to fix the problem so they can go to the hospital in the first place. And if we say we don't want to have C4s, then all we're saying is we want to have more hospitals and more people having the problem as opposed to trying to stop the problem in the first place. And so we're all about helping. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. There's an Amber Alert. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Look, we are live.
We are live. I can't.
I'm
sorry. That is crazy.
It's all right. The fact that you got one means I'm probably going to get one in a few seconds, but that's
exactly.
all right.
Okay.
It reminds people that we are live. We are live in afternoon drive time. Anything can happen, but please continue to make your point.
I'm sorry. So saying basically that that there's a hospital, there's the intersection, that people are getting hit at the intersection, sending people to the hospital, and by having more C4s, we're able to really stop the people going to the hospital, stop the triage. And Democrats and progressives were slow to embracing the oh my gosh.
It's all right. That was me. That was me. Keep going.
Okay. And so it's showing so that Democrats have been slow to embrace the alternative forms of legal structures to engage in advocacy, because progressives, we tend to be more caring, we want to solve the problem. We want to care for people. But as time goes on, and we saw how Republicans and conservatives were using these structures to change the systems to hurt us more, we realized we had to get into the game.
And so talk to me about, what are you seeing on the ground? Are there some creative examples of nonprofits, of leaders on the front lines that are getting really creative about how they organize dollars, how they deploy dollars? There are a lot of folks out there that get real uncomfortable with doing any advocacy related work because they feel like, oh, we don't want to lose our 501(c)(3) status. When in fact, you and I both know that there's a lot that you can do in the name of public education. There's a lot that you can do advancing the public interest with a C3. There's even more you can do with a C4. But yet and still, folks are still spooked about this. And so talk to us about why people are still so spooked, and organizations on the front lines that are getting creative and hopefully turning the tide away from folks being spooked about the way they deploy dollars and resources.
I think what people are really getting spooked by is that we're living at a time when a few wealthy people are ripping our democracy apart, and they're angry, and they see them doing something, and they assume, well, if they're doing it, it must be bad. It must be bad for us, because you have Elon Musk, giving, I forgot how much he was giving the people to vote in Pennsylvania. Was it $100, $1,000, whatever it was, basically giving cash donations to people to influence the process. You see all the tech titans sitting behind Trump at the inauguration, and people say, this must be the problem. They are using their money and influence to screw me over. And then they look at the vehicles that they're using and they assume anybody doing that is wrong. And that's a legitimate problem. We do have to really look at that problem, the concentration of wealth and how it's shaping our system. But at the same time, we have to give the average person hope that they too can influence the system, that they too can say, I have seen the same problem in my neighborhood. Me and my neighbors know how to fix it, but we now know how we can use a vehicle to be able to change it. We can't just go to the city council and speak at public comment. We have to be able to do stuff to elect who we want to elect, to influence them to do certain policy change, and be able to make our lives better.
Vincent, in about a minute, I just want to give you an opportunity to comment on this. We know that in the spring, last fall, hundreds of liberal groups, they banded together against Trump's threat of RICO cases and investigations. There was an open letter that they issued, where more than 500 groups condemn what they describe as the use of government power to threaten their First Amendment rights. Organizations signing on to the letter range from the American Civil Liberties Union and Indivisible to Greenpeace USA and Service Employees International Union. Any update on the work that organizations are doing in light of that steady threat from our government when it comes to exercising their First Amendment rights?
The update I would say is they're being very strategic. They're not doing things in a big, bold way, they being the Trump administration. There's a bill that's worked its way up through the legislature in Florida that would allow the Florida state legislature to declare any organization a domestic terrorist and then take their funding, even if that organization does nothing in Florida. There are bills working its way through Congress that would do other things of the sort. So they're trying like this multi-pronged approach to be able to attack civil society. And they're doing it in a way where it's harder for us to be able to follow. And so you think about this RICO statute. RICO was made to fight organized crime. And the United States, our First Amendment is the freedom of speech. And for them to say that people organizing their freedom of speech is a criminal enterprise that should be stopped, we should all be worried about that, regardless if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. We should all be worried about that, because at the end of the day, we should be about freedom of speech and expression.
Our thanks to Vincent Jones. He is the CEO of Beyond Impact. We can't get enough of him, and so we'll have to have you back again soon.
My pleasure. I would love to. Thank you. I look forward to it.
When we come forward, LA City Council candidate Elmer Roldan is joining us to share his take on the state of the city of Angels and his vision for the future should he be elected. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
When temperatures climb, LADWP wants to help you stay cool indoors, starting in your attic. With quality attic insulation, your home can stay more comfortable during hot summer days and help lower your energy bills year-round. It's a smart way to save. And for a limited time, LADWP has increased the attic insulation rebates to make upgrading more affordable. Act now to start saving. Visit ladwp.com/attic. That's ladwp.com/attic. From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was a house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of the utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. We have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement, Douglas Foster, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a laugh.
You know, 5 years goes fast when you're doing something you love. 5 years of being right there with you, in your car, in your kitchen, at work, in your earbuds. And we don't take that for granted, not for a second. When it came time to celebrate our 5th anniversary, we knew it had to mean something. And we're celebrating on the most fitting day there is, Juneteenth. We're still putting the finishing touches on something really special. And before we tell the world, we want to tell you first. Once we announce this event publicly, we expect that seats are going to go fast, really fast. So go to our website right now at KBLA1580.com and sign up to make sure you're the very first to hear what we've got planned before we go public with all the details. You've been riding with us. It's only right you're first to know. KBLA1580.com. We'll see you on Juneteenth for our 5th anniversary banger. Banger, banger, banger. You dig it. We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm really delighted to welcome Elmer Roldan. He is the candidate for LA City Council's District 9. He is no stranger to LA. He came up as a community organizer at Community Coalition. He has done a lot of incredible work over the years in the name of education reform. A lot of work, community affairs at LAUSD. I could go on and on and on. But Elmer, the people want to hear from you. Tell us your assessment of the state of the city of Angels and why you're running for the LA City Council.
Dr. Nick Quarterly, it's always a pleasure to be in the same space as you. And thank you to you and your audience for having me. And, you know, our city is in a place where we need a lot of solutions. We need to continue to be people-oriented. We're living in one of the most difficult times in our history because although we have all these tremendous pressures coming from DC, we know that here at home, the city has never fully delivered on its promise, especially for people in South Central Los Angeles, particularly in District 9. This has been my home my entire, from the time that I was 9 years old. and on. I went to school here. I grew up here. As you mentioned, I've been an organizer since I was literally a child. And, as far as I can remember, things have always needed to get better. And so we need to continue on a progressive upward trend. And we need to ensure that the resources are making it to the people where we desperately need them.
And one of the things that we have seen very often in these headlines, the people who need them, the unhoused. There are some people who believe that we're not doing enough to address the persistent challenge of homelessness in the city of Los Angeles. I just saw Mayor Karen Bass do an interview on CNN with Alex Michelson, where one of the headlines in the LA Times is that, 40% of the folks who participated in the Inside Safe program ended back on the streets. Well, when I heard that interview that the mayor did, she reminded people, well, 60% of the folks who went through this program are not on the streets. And so talk to us about, the glass half full versus glass half empty conversation around homelessness. It seems to me a lot of people are playing that glass half full, glass half empty politic, and they may be distorting what's actually happening here in the City of Angels.
Yeah, that's an excellent topic to touch on. And remember, whenever we're talking about poor people and the folks who are most vulnerable, folks are quick to pull away resources from folks who need it the most. There's never enough resources to go to the wealthy, to fight these wars, to build stadiums, to continue to build the downtown skyline. There's always resources for those projects, but when it comes to taking care of the human needs, in many cases created by it's the trade-off of living in the type of economy that we have, that you need ultra poor people in order for folks to amass ridiculous amounts of wealth. And we're living in one of the time periods in our country's history where we have people literally becoming trillionaires while our folks are starving on the streets. With that said, we know that the voters approved measures and literally gave us millions of dollars to help folks become housed. And, for folks who have family members dealing with addiction or dealing with mental health issues, that it is really tough to keep someone on that right track or on that wagon. And so we can't give up on people right away because folks are back on the streets. We don't know the circumstances that push people to the streets to begin with. And once they got help, something is really seriously, something really serious is going on that's pushing someone back onto the streets. And so that humane and human approach is something that we can't forget. And again, for Black and brown folks, solutions are always taken, the resources are taken away too quickly. And so we have to keep fighting for us to implement those programs that bring people off the streets and into shelters, getting the right type of support that they need so that they can stay housed and live more fruitful lives.
Elmer, in our remaining minutes, I want to ask you, should you be elected to represent the people of the 9th District on the Los Angeles City Council, by the end of your first 4 years, can you give us a sense of what is the most consequential achievement that you want the people of your district and the people of LA to judge you on?
First and foremost, we have been distracted in recent years by corruption, by unethical behavior, by our representatives. And so we need leadership that is showing up, that is respecting the job of the office, that is responding to people, that is listening to the residents of Council District 9. So having a responsive office, having an office that is focusing on our primary job, which is to deliver on city services, ensuring that we clean up our streets, that we get rid of bulky items, that we target the dollars to clean up the encampments, that we transform so many empty lots that could be repurposed for parks, that can be repurposed for street vendors. In other areas, we call street vending farmers markets in South Los Angeles. We need to invest those types of dollars to ensure that we are helping family-owned mom and pop businesses. They are the ones that drive the economy here in Council District 9. If they were a large corporation, the city would provide credits and tax benefits to do those services. In Council District 9, folks are forced to fend for themselves, to be solution oriented. And so what I want to do is deliver on those basic services, because here they would be truly transformational. When things are good, we are told to wait our turn, that there's not enough for us to get our basic needs met. And when times of crisis hit, we are the first communities to be impacted and the ones that have to wait the longest for us to get our services back up. And so having a more responsive office and ethical leadership that is listening to the needs of folks and directing those limited resources to have the best solutions possible on the ground is what I intend to deliver to the people of the 9th.
Well, and it's a lot of transformation that you're talking about in a very short period of time, but this is the deal. I think it's important that leaders, learners, and listeners understand that you know a little something about transformation. I think your personal story is incredible. Born in Guatemala to a working class family, your mom left school in the 3rd grade, fled poverty, fled domestic violence, came to LA, cleaned houses, and saved enough to send for you and your siblings to join her. And now here you are so many years later as a candidate on the ballot to become a Los Angeles City Council member. In our remaining minute, I'm going to give you the last word. What has your mother imparted on you as you you're in the thick of this race? What's the one thing that your mom told you that you're holding on to most tightly?
Yeah. My mom has cleaned houses her entire life. As a kid, she instilled in me the value of education and said to me, I clean toilets so that you don't have to. She is, like many other mothers in South Central Los Angeles, the safety net that has kept our families together, our community strong. Even though she had very little, she was a very generous woman who taught me to take care of those around me. And that's what I've done in the 30 years that I've been organizing since I was 13 years old. And so she is a champion in my eyes. She continues to inspire me. And she's been a big supporter of my campaign. So, what else can I ask for? Is having moms on your side goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Quickly, where can people go to tap in to support your campaign and learn more about your vision for the future here in LA?
ElmerRoldan.com. You can also find me on social media at Elmer4CD9. You can donate there. You can sign up to volunteer there. You can learn more about my platform. Please get connected with me, because we need all the help that we can get and all the partnerships that can come to CD9 so that we can make life better for all the residents here.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Our thanks to LA City Council candidate Elmer Roldan, running for the LA City Council's 9th district. You've heard his high-level assessment of the state of the city, his vision for the future, and why he thinks he's the right one to represent the people here in the City of Angels. When we come forward, we'll be joined with Al Reynolds, and we're going beyond even more headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The White House says there has been no formal extension of the Iran ceasefire. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt pushed back on those reports Wednesday while saying negotiations with Iran are still ongoing.
We remain very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks.